Welcome back, everybody. This is Eric and Chad here with Iraq Veteran 8888. Today we've got another Gun Gripe episode for you. This particular Gun Gripe comes from one of our viewers, and it came from Joe here on Facebook, and I'm not going to give his last name. He said, I was wondering if you guys heard about Missouri Senate Bill 367 yet. I'm pretty stoked about it, and I wondered why I haven't heard anything from you guys about it. So we thought we would talk about it. And it's a bill that basically wants to turn Missouri into a gun rights sanctuary state. So before we talk about this, I definitely want to take a moment to thank our friends at SDI for supporting Gun Gripes and allowing us to put this content out raw and unfiltered, unadulterated for you. They are a great online gunsmithing school. If you guys have any interest in gunsmithing and are looking for higher education, I would strongly recommend checking them out, especially if you got unused GI Bill, anything like that. Great option. So definitely want to thank them. So let's talk about this a little bit. If you read into it, you know, it's funny that the Second Amendment in general, like our gun rights, it seems like we're always on the run, right? We're always being thrown into a corner and having to protect ourselves from all the people who are trying to take our rights away, right? All of this anti-gun legislation, all the things that are promised that people say they're going to do and they don't do, like, you know, I don't know, we had Republican-controlled House, Senate, presidency for all this time, and yet we didn't get a single pro-gun bill passed, right? All that time. And now that we're not in control of the ship anymore, so now they're all coming out of the woodwork trying to throw every anti-gun bill in our face that they possibly can. It's pretty refreshing to see a piece of legislation like this actually gaining some steam and some traction.
What's also refreshing is that, you know, you hear the term sanctuary city, sanctuary state, you know, in regards to illegal immigrants having a sanctuary in their cities, in their state. It's illegal. You are here illegally, but we will give you sanctuary. No, it doesn't work that way. It's nice to hear Missouri wanting to open themselves up as a sanctuary state for a constitutional right.
All right,
awesome.
We're gonna link this article in the description box below, so make sure you check it out. But I'll just briefly go through and we'll read a little bit. It says, and this was April 18th, so it's like a week old, but still it's pertinent. And look, guys, you have to support all the folks in Missouri that are trying to get this done. This is very important. It could set a very, very distinct precedence. If you'll give us a moment to explain it, I think you'll realize that it's pretty cool. All right, today a Missouri Senate committee approved a bill that would set the foundation to create a gun rights sanctuary state by banning state and local enforcement of most federal gun control. Passage into law would represent a major step towards ending federal acts that infringe on the right to keep and bear arms within the state in practice and in effect. All right, so Senator Eric Burleson, a Republican from Battlefield, yeah, that's very, yeah, that's pertinent, introduced Senate Bill 367, titled the Second Amendment Preservation Act. The legislation would ban any person, including any public officer or employee of the state, and its political subdivisions from enforcing any past, present, or future federal acts, laws, executive orders, administrative orders, court orders, rules, or regulations that infringe on the right to keep and bear arms.
Sounds good to me.
SB 367 includes a detailed definition of the actions that qualify as an infringement. They include but are not limited to
taxes and fees on firearms, firearms accessories, or ammunition that would have a chilling effect on firearms ownership. Registration and tracking schemes applied to firearms, firearms accessories, or ammunition that would have a chilling effect. Any act forbidding the possession, ownership, or use or transfer of a firearm, firearm accessory, or ammunition by law-abiding citizens. And any act ordering the confiscation of firearms, firearms accessories, or ammunition from law-abiding citizens. This would include the National Firearms Act of 1934, the Gun Control Act of 1968, and more, such as President Trump's bump stock ban.
So basically, they're saying,
I love it so much.
They're saying, just get all this right out of here. We ain't dealing with it in Missouri, and that's awesome.
Well, the thing that I was reading in here that is pretty interesting. So there's penalties for law enforcement that infringe on your rights if this gets through. So The legislation includes a provision that would allow anybody who violates the law and knowingly deprives someone of their right to keep and bear arms as defined by the law can be sued for damages in civil court. Sovereign, official, or qualified immunity shall not be an affirmative defense in such actions.
So basically, you can't say, I was just following orders, or, oh, it's just my job to do this, or I have to do this or I'll lose my job. None of those things apply. The right to keep and bear arms is one of the most definitive and important fundamental human rights that we have in this nation. It sets forth a very important precedence. The right to keep and bear arms is literally the cornerstone of humanity's preservation and the preservation of our republic.
Yep.
And by taking that away or by stifling that, you're part of the problem.
States' rights is a huge deal because without all the individual states to help enforce federal law cannot be enforced. It's unenforceable without the state's cooperation. And if states like Missouri pass bills like this and more states follow suit, then it's taking little pieces out of the federal government's control over you and your constitutional rights.
And I think that's an important step. I would like to see this bill really gain some steam and do some things and really go some places, because I think it's important for a lot of states to realize that the federal government can't push you around. They need your deputies. They need your sheriffs. They need all your local your local resources. If they want to enforce federal law in your state, they need you to do it. They can't do it by themselves. And I think by setting a stern example and saying, look, we're not going to deal with this crap in our state. We're not going to deal with you in our state enforcing your bogus rhetoric. Eventually, they're going to have to change up the way they do things.
Yep.
Okay? So it goes on to talk about a few different things, but I would encourage you guys to check out the article. There's a good bit of stuff in here.
Yep. Well, this is the first that we had heard of it. Eric sent me a text this morning and was asking if I had seen this, and I had not as of yet. But very, very cool stuff. It's always nice to have a gripe about some good dang news.
It's rare that we actually get to report good news. And this is good news. This is a step in the right direction. I mean, we always wind up having to report all the stuff going on that we hate to talk about. We hate to talk about bad things that are going on. Nobody likes a negative Nancy. We don't like that any more than anybody else. However, we have to discuss it because we have to get people riled up. We have to get people, involved in this. This fight for the Second Amendment is not a political fight. And that's what, a lot of people are like, oh, you guys are being too political with your channel, doing this, doing that. You guys discuss politics too much. It's not political. You've just been brainwashed into thinking it's a political battle. It's not political. There's nothing about someone's rights that is political. My rights are definite.
Constitutional.
They are constitutionally protected. The right to bear arms is constitutionally protected. When you go against the Constitution of the United States, when you try to demonize gun owners, when you push us into a corner and treat us like substandard citizens, that is you politicizing my right. You are politicizing the right, not me, who is merely trying to defend my ground. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I definitely kudos to Missouri. That's great news.
All right, so check this out. So just a few other little points, and then we're going to let you guys get back to your day. But based on James Madison's advice for the states and individuals in Federalist number 46, a, quote, refusal to cooperate with officers of the Union, end quote, represents an extremely effective method to bring down federal gun control measures because most enforcement actions rely on help, support, and leadership from state and local governments, like I mentioned previously. Fox News senior judicial analyst Judge Andrew Napolitano agreed. In a televised discussion on the issue, he noted that a single state taking this step would make federal gun laws nearly impossible to enforce. Partnerships don't work too well when half the team quits. Blah blah blah. Now this is a part that I thought was funny. This is kind of the FUD thing of the day right here. Some gun rights supporters have argued that such a measure is unnecessary because it addresses a non-existent problem with a Republican Congress and an NRA-backed president. Trump's bump stock ban obliterates this fallacy. Furthermore, the Trump administration actually ramped up enforcement of federal gun laws in 2017.
So, yeah. I mean, you have to call things like you see it, guys.
Dude.
Look, we've said all along that, the NRA has a history of supporting a lot of anti-gun bullcrap and a lot of the anti-gun things that were compromises this whole time. have come to bear fruit, and you see now what that fruit tastes like, and it ain't good.
Bye.
And, you know, the issue with compromising on your rights is that you're showing the world around you that you're willing to give something up. Well, what is a right if it's not definite, if it's not infinite? You know what I mean? A right is a right. It says quite simply that the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. I don't understand how more clear that writing can be. I mean, and it's the Second Amendment. You know what I mean? It's not like all the way down the list. I mean, it's important. It's way up in that list because of its importance.
Oh, absolutely.
So anyway, we're preaching to the choir, I know. And I know that there's a lot of varying opinions on this sort of thing, but I think it's an important step for Missouri, and it's an important step for states' rights. And we wanted to share this with you because we feel like it's important. Support your Missourians, or whatever you call them. Missourians?
I don't know. Missourians.
Support your folks in Missouri, guys, because this is a pretty important fight. And if this thing goes full circle, it could be the tipping point.
Other states might follow suit, and then more get added to the pile. Then it makes federal enforcement even that much more difficult.
That's right.
Sounds good to me.
Sounds good to me too. Guys, thank you so much for watching today's video. We really appreciate it. Want to thank all of our Patreon supporters, those of you who purchase man cans to help support the channel. Thank you so very much for your support. If you purchase t-shirts or merchandise on the website, such as this lovely tee he's wearing here, all of those funds go right back into supporting the channel. Thank you so very much for believing in us and what we do, and thank you for the support. We'll see you next time. Many more videos on the way.
Take care, guys.